Welcome to the Xi Omega Chapter Centennial Podcast Series, Xi Omega, A Century of Sisterhood and Service. I am Raven L. Hill, President of Xi Omega Chapter, the first and largest graduate chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in Washington, D.C. For 100 years, Xi Omega has led with exceptional sisterhood and exemplary service. 2 Alpha Kappa Alpha founders were among the 20 visionaries who chartered our chapter in 1923. Through the years, Xi Omega has been home to several AKA founders, 3 AKA international presidents, and 6 North Atlantic regional directors. From our original 20 charter members to now almost 700 members, we are committed to continuing our legacy of sisterhood, scholarship, and service, in line with our mission to meet the needs of a dynamic and ever-changing world. Join us as we travel through the decades, exploring Xi Omega's growth and service legacy in our nation's capital and the global community. Each episode will showcase Xi Omega's contributions through narration, conversations, and interviews with our illustrious chapter members against the backdrop of the culture, politics, and music that encompass the African American experience of those times. So we ask that you sit back, relax, and enjoy as we bring you Xi Omega, A Century of Sisterhood and Service.
A new century, the decade of the 2000s. The 9/11 terrorist attacks are the deadliest in the history of the United States. Hurricane Katrina disrupts and destroys the lives of many living on the Gulf Coast. The 2007 recession changes the economic landscape of the decade. And a little-known senator who has the audacity to talk about hope is elected the first African-American president of the United States.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane.
On September 11th, 2001, terror attacks occur at the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, resulting in the deaths of more than 3,000 persons. Following this tragedy, the Department of Homeland Security is formed by President George W. Bush to combat terrorism. The most infamous storm in U.S. history, Hurricane Katrina, barrels toward the Gulf Coast, causing destruction from Texas to Florida and up the eastern coast of the United States. The morning of August 29th, 2005, Katrina slams ashore as a vicious hurricane and becomes a humanitarian catastrophe when the levees are breached, allowing flooding in the lower 9th Ward of New Orleans. This is primarily an African-American neighborhood. Many of the residents, though warned to evacuate, did not or could not leave the area. Katrina left millions homeless, and more than 1,000 people lose their lives. In December 2007, the U.S. experiences its worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, bringing into focus the effects of foreclosures, rising unemployment rates, controversial bank bailouts, and a weak gross domestic product.
Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii. CBS projects that Senator Barack Obama of Illinois will be the next president of the United States.
Amidst the tragedies of the 2000s, a junior senator from the state of Illinois, Barack Obama, reminds the nation that we are the United States of America during his 2004 Democratic Convention keynote address. He challenges us to have the audacity of hope and to reconcile our racial differences. His oratorical style and delivery lifts the dormant cloud hovering over the nation and creates an energy that is palpable across racial and ethnic boundaries and generations, especially for young people. As the offspring of an African father and a Caucasian mother, he's able to traverse both worlds with authenticity and agility. In 2008, he becomes the first African-American president of the United States, as many chant his campaign-affirming slogan, "Yes, we can."
The worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
The Dow traders are standing there watching in amazement, and I don't blame them.
We're now down 43%.
Almost everything there completely wiped out. And the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate.
President Obama's administration staves off the worst economic crisis since the Depression. His cabinet mirrors the racial makeup of America. Campaigning on the success of his first term, he moves the nation forward by winning a second term.
I wanted to be an AKA, an Alpha, Kappa, Alpha, I wanted to be an AKA, and here's the reason why. Of all the towns around, I searched, no better group I found, so I joined them right away. And this I have to say, we have tried, now we made it to AKA, and Alpha, Kappa, Alpha, and Alpha, Kappa.
The 2008 Boule was not only a business meeting, but also a celebration of the sorority's 100 years of sisterhood and service. Xi Omega chapter is pleased to serve as one of the 14 chapters from the North Atlantic region and the Mid-Atlantic region that host the Centennial Boule. The celebration is held at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C., and has an attendance of 23,000 members and many guests. The local economy benefits from attendees spending $100 million. The once-in-a-lifetime Greek Unity March to the U.S. Capitol closes Pennsylvania Avenue. The memorable march attracts thousands. At the time of the Centennial Boule, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is the first women's group to have a Barbie doll created in its honor. The spectacular fireworks display on the Potomac River is a fitting tribute to celebrate the past and launch the sorority into the future. A distinct honor was the Centennial Banquet, which earns a Guinness record for the largest seated dinner of 16,206 persons. Vivian Smith, a Pearl member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, meaning she's been in the sorority for at least 65 years, is also a former president of Xi Omega chapter. She spoke with a new member of Xi Omega, Ayanna Roche, about the excitement of the AKA Centennial in 2008.
For the Centennial Boule, it was just awesome. I participated to the extent that I could. And what was so good about it, it was located here in D.C. Mm-hmm. And our own Cheryl Parker was the chair.
Yes.
And that was exciting. I went to everything I possibly could, but it was an exciting time. It was an exhausting time. It was a time to be very, very proud of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. We painted D.C. pink and green, and it was beautiful.
Even through the excitement of the AKA Centennial celebration, Xi Omega works diligently to provide programs of service to the Washington, D.C. community by going into every quadrant of the city. High school students and their families receive information about job and business opportunities and college and career choices. Xi Omega members distribute health care information and provide screenings for hypertension. Earlier in the 2000s, in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Education, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority creates Ivy Reading Academies throughout the country. Xi Omega partners with 2 other AKA chapters to operate the Ivy Reading Academy at Smothers Elementary School. 3 days a week, chapter members provide reading enrichment activities to children in kindergarten through 3rd grade. Students complete the program with improved reading skills. This program has special importance to then Xi Omega President Phyllis Young because she attended Smothers Elementary School as a child. Under another initiative, Xi Omega members visit the Spring Road Apartments, a transitional residence for people who have experienced homelessness. Twice a week, members help preschoolers with basic learning such as reading, colors, and counting. So many of these children were academically behind when they entered preschool because they had not learned the basics. There was one 4-year-old who did not know his own name or any numbers when Xi Omega members began working with him. Over time, he learns his name and how to count to 10, initial steps in preparing him to enter school. The Elite Program, Exceptional Ladies in Training for Excellence, was created by Alpha Kappa Alpha as an international initiative to serve young girls in middle school. Xi Omega's Elite Program offers monthly sessions at the Maya Angelou Public Charter Middle School. Our elite girls receive training in finances, etiquette, self-care, and appearance. The Pink Project is a partnership with Howard University's School of Social Work to promote and foster healthy minds, bodies, and spirits. Xi Omega members, the community, friends, and partners are encouraged to focus on their physical and mental health through a greater awareness of women's health issues. The Pink Project focuses on cancer, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Participation in the Pink Project provides continuing education units to social workers, nurses, psychologists, and psychiatrists. Former Xi Omega President Vivian Smith talks about one of the chapter's service projects that is dear to her heart, Food and Friends.
It is wonderful. Food and Friends started in a church, Westminster Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
And, as it got advertised, that here was a program that was going to serve HIV/AIDS patients when people were backing away from HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
Didn't know enough about it. Thought if you sat in the same room with somebody, you were going to catch it. But here was a group of people at that church that started out saying, yeah, we'll go along and we'll do that.
Former Xi Omega President Vivian Smith has been a member of AKA for more than 65 years. The following women served as president of Xi Omega chapter in the decade of the 2000s. Vivian Smith, Xi Omega's 31st president, served her second term from 2000 to 2001. She felt it important that young people become productive members of society, and Xi Omega partnered with Howard University's School of Social Work to address women's health issues. Phyllis Young served 2002 to 2005 as Xi Omega's 32nd president. During her tenure, Xi Omega partnered with 2 other AKA chapters to operate the Ivy Reading Academy at Smothers Elementary School. Cheryl Hill was Xi Omega's 33rd president from 2006 to 2007. One of the most impactful programs for the community during her tenure was the Women and Girls Conference, which brought the community together to discuss positive thinking and healthy choices. Sharon Anderson served 2008 to 2011 as Xi Omega's 34th president. The chapter partnered with the American Kidney Foundation to bring awareness to kidney disease in the African American community. And Fun, Fit, Fly encouraged students to be more physically active. A Century of Sisterhood and Service, the decade of the 2000s, is brought to you by Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Xi Omega Chapter. Executive Producer, Ayana Roche. Director of Research, Bonnie Jones-Moon. Content Producer, Monica Lattimore. Podcast Editorial Board, Nadine Eads, Lavdina Orr, Etta Williams, Cheryl Parker. Copy Editors, Sharon Anderson, Josephine Baker, Carmelia L. Rush. Podcast theme by Paul Bailey with the Howard University Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Fred Irby III. Technical production, Ashley Donald. I'm Diane Johnson.
This is Xi Omega President Raven L. Hill again to thank you for listening to this month's episode of the Xi Omega Centennial Podcast, A Century of Sisterhood and Service. We hope you found it informative as well as entertaining, and that you will recommend it to your family and friends. We have dedicated a great deal of time to ensure that our centennial events are thought-provoking and interesting, and we hope you will have an opportunity to see some of the activities we have planned. To stay up to date with our calendar of events, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and online at akaxo.org. Don't forget to join us for next month's podcast episode on the 23rd as we continue our centennial journey from 1923 to 2023.